Hey, what's up, everybody? Just had a 9-hour stream with the full 3.20 announcement, all that type of stuff. It was really exciting. It was 9 hours long. We picked through absolutely everything we could. We brainstormed and we did a lot of theory crafting with new skills, new uniques, all that type of stuff. Can't go into all that detail right now. I'm going to link the VOD below. But what I have here is at the end of the stream, I did a quick little 15-minute or so summary of my thoughts on all of the big points. This is a quick little overview of that. 320 looks really awesome. I love roguelikes. And basically everything that we saw there is overall pretty good. Even the things that, when there's a nerf, there's usually a buff on the other side. Everything looks like really well thought out, and I am genuinely really excited for this. And I think 3.20 is going to be really, really good. So yeah, enjoy watching my summary of the patch notes and the announcement, and there will be a lot more detail coming over the next week. Hope you follow and subscribe if you want all that as we delve into it and hopefully have a spectacular league. So yeah, thanks for watching, and enjoy. Maps look good. All right, so yeah, final like full summary here. Maps look really, really cool. Absolutely get wrecked magic find. The nurse is in Carcass. that's how Chris is getting them back, by the way. Why is that bad? Because Carcass is awful. Looks like they're not touching Promenade. So Promenade for div cards, for patient cards. We got that. Arch Nemesis changes look really, really good. I think it's going to be simplified, make more sense, be more readable. Once in a while, people are still going to complain. I came across a magma barrier toxic or whatever, but I think that's going to be very rare. The loot goblins are effectively gone. Eldritch altars, I think this is overall really good changes. The big change for me that I really like the most is the making Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds actually different. I think that's just like great. Right now, they have no identity whatsoever. We have to see, right? I don't want to judge the actual reward. Like, if this feels better or worse, we'll see. The league mechanic, the league mechanic itself, the roguelike, everything. Also, we get, oh God, did I close it? I closed it. The relics, the sanctified relics, they're full-on charms. They work outside of the sanctum. Don't tell Path of Exile. Shh, they work outside the sanctum. We get a whole nother crazy powerful item on our characters. That's insane. Atlas Tree looks really cool. Until we see what they do, you can't really make any assumptions about it. We did open up the picture here. Looks pretty cool. Just I'm looking where the expedition is. Looks like we're speccing into Eater Worlds here for expedition. Jewels and ailment mitigation, all good things. Not to mention getting the 3% mana reservation efficiency, which is pretty cool. Get a little bit more of that back. Get some Defiance banners back in there. Jewels are being reworked. We'll have to see what this shakes out to be. I think there's some good. There's some, certain specific builds might be a little sad about this. I think this is overall a good thing for the game. Probably the biggest thing that I learned from Ruthless is when an item drops, you want it to be memorable. You want it to be special. You want it to be worth showing on your loot filter at the very least, worth a mouse over. And right now, unique jewels, half the time I'm just I don't even want to mouse over this. I know it's not going to be a jewel that I want. I didn't get a single worthwhile unique jewel this entire league. And it was a waste of time to even show it on my loot filter. And changing that, I think it's just good for them to move it so the loot is actually worth, right? The hex changes. So the thing with the curses, I'm excited for the new support gems. I think those are cool. We have some answers to get questioned for that. This is more of a simplification and a rebalance pass. They are making hexes more effective. By and large, map bosses and Atlas bosses will be better for hexes. You will notice that they are actually worth casting. You'll get a little bit of a bonus there. Most builds will notice a little bit more damage and noticeably more defense if you choose to use Temp Chains or Enfeeble, but mapping actually gets a little bit worse, but that doesn't matter. Our characters are so overtuned. For every buff, they basically hit it with a commensurate nerf to the point where in the end, the average, let's say we're 10% stronger for map bosses, we're 10% weaker for mapping. We're let's say Bane got 10% more damage, Bane got 10% less damage. At the end of the day, this curse change is just more of a conceptual rework and not a buff or a nerf. It is just, and in fact, a lot of these nerfs are kind of like Band-Aids, right? Bane is 25% less curse effect. To the point where, to me, that really goes against, this was the big thing that I chafed with is it really, really goes against Bane's intention to me as a non-utility skill. Very much they nerfed it to almost exactly do at the end of the day with the Despair nerf to do exactly the exact same amount of damage. So that's like the summary of the curse stuff. There's a lot. I mean, there's so much little stuff and nuance that does go into this. I think these new small cluster jewel things can be really, really cool. I think stacking a few of these in your build, no matter what your build is, like even if you're cursing anything, you can still take advantage of these. Doesn't matter about Despair. This doesn't say recover 2% of energy on killing Despair cursed enemies. It says any cursed enemies. So you can kind of mix and match these however you want, which I think is really, really cool. I think that's a great way to add curse identity. The occultist stuff, I think, is just, I understand occultist is really, really strong. But man, like I want her to like have an identity and just like for them to like double down in it and say like, this is her identity, make her strong with this. Instead, she's so generically strong in so many ways that like, it's just like, I don't know what to do with this. Put it on the passive tree. Remove it. I don't know. It seems too generically strong. And I'm actually pretty, I'm a little chafed about losing Malediction. I think that was actually a little bit of an overstep. Especially if you're playing an occultist that's not specifically focused on curses. Like not having even increased curse effect, but only having +1 curse. Like the point of the Ascendancy is to be the master of the curses. And she literally only gets +1 curse and nothing else like thematic or interesting about it, which I think is, yeah, it's a little bit of a disappointment. But I mean, it's like fine. Endgame unique weapons. I think these are really, really cool. The big, I'm not going to go into like full detail about every single one. We've been over all of them. But the big thing about this is they all look dope as hell in their own way in general, right? Some of these like just feel kind of like nicer leveling uniques, or maybe they're actually just like usable into like yellow maps or something. But there's some of them that look really, really, really cool. I mean, Azir's Disfavor looks awesome. The Marohi getting even more damage is insane. Making me really excited about a couple things. Giving Savior some damage back is really cool. The question is, Chris did say the changed ones are on the same rarity tier as Mageblood and Headhunter. Question is, a boss drop Savior on the same rarity tier as a Headhunter, it's not going to be 0.000001, right? Like, is it 1%, 2%, 3%? Am I just having skim milk all day and not getting anything? That's a question. So, I don't want to like have too much. Also, spoilers. We did hear it directly from Path of Exile. Edzir's Disfavor has moved to Uber Edziri, so keep that in the back of your head. But these are cool. I think they'll be exciting and fun. I think, regardless, it's the right direction to go with these, because right now most of these you just don't even pick up. So I think that's cool. Mitigating monster life regen, sure. Not everyone has to carry a frost bomb around. Strike skills, additional enemies. This was just moving some things around. Access to additional strike skill is very, very common these days. You can get it on gloves, both as an influence warlord modifier or as an implicit. And there's so many different sources of it that this is not sweating this. Pious Path getting a slap on the wrist. Who cares? Totally fine. Spectral Helix getting kicked in the gonads. Good. Lightning Strike getting kicked in the gonads. Good. Right? This is the thing. People, it's been way too strong for too long. Seismic Trap is, rip Gauntlet if they run that this league. Welcome to Seismic Trap, the league. Divergent Second Wind has some bugs, which I don't even, pretty interesting. Onslaught, this is pretty cool. Onslaught is now a buff. On Onslaught, you can now, roll more curse flask effect and stuff like that for stronger Onslaught, which is pretty cool. I think there's some pretty good effects with that. Withering Step and Elusive. This is a very clever way to nerf Nightblade. So Withering Step and Elusive, you can't just like refresh it for free. Ancestor Totem, this just makes it less annoying to use. Tainted Fusings got super buffed, 50% per, back in Scourge League again. So these are good login, free 6 links for everybody. Fracturing Orb looks really good. Maybe Harbingers will be not garbage anymore. Really excited about this, actually. Cirrus Thing looks like not enough. Cirrus needs more love. Infinite Hunger, not enough. Needs more love. Bestiary Party Play, good. Screw multi-boxers. Curex, complete the map mission. Rip in peace, getting infinite paradises. Identified memory lines, more memory. Yeah, that's whatever. That's like a bug fix. Rogue Markers, bug fix, or whatever. Monster Balance, whatever. Kirak mods, I am excited the most about. I mean, Harby. If Harbies end up being good, this is going to be really good. Beyond might be good with the fusing buff. And I'm mostly looking at Domination for Shrines. I think that's really good. Quest changes, whatever. Some of the new gems, some stuff moved around, pretty cool. Some UI changes, pretty nice. Bug fixes, pretty nice. The one notable bug fix here that I do want to call out The poison one, this was actually pretty significant. I think this is, don't overlook this. Fix the bug or modifiers that make ailments deal damage faster. Incorrectly lower the duration of poison twice. I think it was only lowering the duration, but not the amount of damage properly. So this should be a pretty significant poison buff, actually. So that's actually pretty wild. So yeah, seismic, log in, I guess. Even more seismic. That is the manifesto. Oh yeah, and then the big thing, the real big thing. I think this mechanic, I am a gigantic, big, giga, ultimate, huge fan of roguelikes in general, and especially Hades. If you haven't played Hades, and you want a spoiler, also, if you haven't played Hades, play Hades. Come on. It is one of the best games that I've played in a long time. It is one of my favorite games. It's incredible, made by a really good developer. You know, if you've ever heard of Bastion or Transistor, absolutely incredible game. And they very much were heavily inspired by Hades. Like, super heavily inspired by Hades. You know, roguelikes in general, right? But like, the fountains, they're literally calling them boons, which is the same thing as called in Hades. This is chaos, actually, in Hades, is the positive and the negative boons. This is very Hades inspired, and I'm here for it. I love Hades. I'm really excited about it. They did also say, confirmed, that you can save up to 8 maps at a time, so you can just speedrun Mesa or Park, load up your 8 maps, and then you'll spend some time in the Sanctum. You know, you don't have to just like really break up your mapping, which I was really concerned about that, so that's really good. And then the really big thing here that cannot be overstated is you can only have one of them, but the Sanctified Relic is global. So it applies to your character no matter where you are, in your heist, in delve, in maps, in bosses. So this will be really interesting when it comes to trying to share a build, and if you're building around a specific relic. But I think it's fully account bound, so you can't trade it. There's no crafting it. It just drops unmodifiable. And yes, this is a global new item for your character. Like, look how strong this is. Leafy Shade, 20% AoE, and 15% increased effective curses. This is a keystone and like 3 different notable passive skills together in a single item. You cannot overstate how good this is. Sanctified Relic is, I think it's really going to open up a lot of design space for builds, but it also will force you to be specifically more creative. It forces you really think in a way that SSF players already do inherently by playing SSF. One of the really cool things about SSF is many times I'm playing it and people in chat are like, or like, especially when I was playing Ruthless over the past week, people in chat be like, what build are you making? And all I could do is just like laugh. I'm walking around naked with like, I have like a couple leaves like taped to my crotch. And I'm just like shambling around and I'm trying to like pick up sticks and like start a fire so I don't die from exposure as like the sun sets, right? That's like all I'm doing when I'm playing Ruthless. And someone's like, oh, are you going to go for like Crystallized Omniscience? And I'm like, I can't even like figure out how I'm not going to die from like a bear jumping out of the woods because I can't even like build a shelter. And you got me thinking about like Crystallized Omniscience, that mindset at least of like, you see something that is like on your character, it is account bound and like, it'll spark ideas. And I think it'll actually spark conversation within the community of like, I got this super unique thing that literally not a single other human being in Path of Exile has. What do I do with this? What would you do with this item? You can't do anything with this item. This is mine. You can't have this, but I don't know what to do with it. And I think that's really cool because it's going to really inspire. It forces you. Like, it's not even like, oh, well, all I do is I go to, you know, some build website and I copy a build. Like, you can't. You literally have to do something a little bit creative with your build. And I think that's awesome. This is actually one of the top things I'm excited about is like the Sanctum in general, I think is just dope as hell. Like, oh my God, look at how cool this guy looks. Look at how cool he looks. Oh my God. This is just straight out of Dark Souls. Just give me. So damn cool. Dope ass looking mechanic. Super looking, like incredibly, you know, well-made theme and everything. And then we get a whole new gear item on our character that is potentially incredibly transformative, that like dramatically changes like what builds are even possible for you. The fact that they just kind of like slipped that in during the announcement is hilarious. This is like, oh yeah, you have cluster jewels now. Like, it's that big, potentially, right? New skills look cool. New Vol skills look really cool. You know, until we get the actual gems or at least see like some previews of them, I don't want to comment too much on it. But I think there's some really cool applications that I'm already thinking about right now. which I'm really excited about. I am genuinely very, very excited for this. I was confident that they were going to release a banger. Thinking it's anything else at this point would be overly pessimistic, because yeah, this is one of the best reveals that I've seen so far. And just everything, like, it's not just like the reveal and like the hype and the hype train and everything. It's like, this actually feels like a real big step forward in, look at the manifesto with the Q&A and the communication and everything, and the way that problems have been addressed. This truly, truly feels like a gigantic step forward and a maturation of the relationship between the community and GGG at this point, with like, hey, we heard you and we're actually listening, and things are looking sick as hell. So I can't wait to log in 1 week and 1 day, and I hope you join me for 3.20. I am going to be playing some roguelikes, and I am going to take Chris Wilson's personal challenge and see if I can complete my very first Sanctum, and I can be like, haha, I'm pretty good at the game. And I'm going to fail, and then Chris Wilson would be like, not as good as you think you are.